name's Michael Warren Lucas, and my short story, The Rat's Man's Lackey and the Bringer of Leaves, just came out in Pulphouse number 33. And I have fallen behind on my reading practice, so to catch up, I'm going to read the opening to you. Wackadoo Manor was least creepy at sunrise. The sideways light highlighted the bright white gingerbread scrollwork that framed the broad, full-circle porch and surrounded the windows and eaves. The antique glass in the windows rippled into rainbows that shifted with my every step. The place always looked like a talented Victorian carpenter with a fanatical devotion to magic mushrooms had been given a lifetime supply of wormwood-laced absinthe and all the lumber he could scroll saw. But this morning the sprawling mansion looked like it might actually be large enough to hold half the rooms within. Even the leaded glass conservatory loomed along the side opposite the driveway, and that place almost never deigned to show up. It might have looked homey if the edge of my vision hadn't kept catching extra colors in the rainbows. Wilting hostas, drooping azaleas, and drying coneflowers surrounded the porch, a fading barricade against the rich green clover meadow that stretched out to the distant tree line. Short, solid Cheery had laid out the hedge trimmers and paper bags and leather gloves and the gel-fueled flamethrower near the front flower bed. She was pulling on the bright yellow bomb suit with the sigil-embossed face shield and the dodo bone belt, so I guessed that the dying greenery objected to today's plan. Georgia gets its fall late, but the acres of trees surrounding our home away from hell had finally transformed into a glorious spray of red and orange that burned against the morning's piercing blue sky. It wasn't quite cool enough for my breath to turn to steam, but crisp enough to take the edge off today's run. I smelled coffee. My nameless but disgusting boss sprawled on a porch glider, tucked beneath a threadbare blanket cradling a steaming mug in his gaunt hand. If I took too much interest, he might prevent my run for the fourth day in a row. So I spent a few breaths leaning into my hamstrings instead. I felt loggy from 9 hours of dreamless sleep, my legs and back unwilling to flex, but they'd loosen up soon enough once I started moving. 5 miles in my steel-reinforced buskins and 30-pound pack. A couple hours on the basement mats and heavy bag, and I'd be ready for breakfast. So long as he didn't call me back with some ridiculous assignment. It's what I agreed to. Covenanted. I spent years working for nameless agencies, putting down evil people so that regular families could have jobs and kittens. You can't do that work without hard-headed realism and a complete lack of belief in wizards and demons and all that stupidity. That last assignment showed my realism didn't stretch far enough. Monsters are real. Wackadoo Manor is like supernatural witness protection. Agree to his terms, and he will shelter you. I don't mind the terms, or the work. I mind the foobar, all the things that aren't possible in any sane world, but exist anyway. Just as I dared to think I might get today's run, he murmured, "Company." My teeth clanged. The first time I drove up to Wackadoo Manor, in a half-eaten sedan with something I couldn't see or touch but decidedly real, chomped hard onto my soul. That drive ambled more than 10 miles through the woods. But 100 feet up our drive was this skinny guy. Beneath a spray of tangled gray hair, his face looked ready to chew ass and spit bacon. Running shoes, although his sweats were too clean. Maybe his run had been cut off too. I forced out a breath. The way the visitor was storming up, he couldn't have marched far without getting sweaty. I dropped my pack and met the guy halfway, calling, "Hello!" The man spat. "Where the hell am I?" "You're at our home." "There's no place like this anywhere near here," the man said. I shrugged. "You've found us. How can we help you?" He bared his teeth. "Point me back to Pauline." "Who's Pauline?" "Pauline Boulevard." I blinked. are you looking for? He snapped, Stadium Boulevard, then. I shook my head slow. Who are you trying to find? I'm trying to get home, the man snapped. This didn't match any other client we'd had. I think you better see the boss. I don't want to talk to your boss. The man tugged a slim phone out of his pocket. My phone's busted. It says I'm in Georgia. We're an hour from Atlanta, and we most definitely are not. That's because you're in Georgia. Bullshit. His glare had talent, but no training. I went for a hike around Everwhite Woods. I'm not even a mile from home. Where is Everwhite? On Pauline, off Stadium. His eyes narrowed at my blankness. West Ann Arbor. I itched to know how someone could stray in here, but if I asked the boss, he might tell me. Look, you can come talk to us and we'll figure this out. Or the driveway's right there. The man glared left and right as if he might will Ann Arbor to appear. Fine, let's talk. What's your name? I said. Wallace Spatchcock. His face twisted. I'm sorry for being rude. You can't tell a man you know he was scared. You're lost and frustrated. What's your name? Here we went. People call me Luggage. Before I could say, our names are picked at random from a list of Terry Pratchett characters, Wallace snorted and said, so you know all about getting lost. One day I have got to read one of those books. Sure. By the time we got to the porch, he had set his coffee on the side table and tugged the blanket down to his waist. His paper-white skin was stretched tight over starvation-sharp cheekbones, although he eats more than any 3 people. A smear of last night's beef gravy had dried on his cheek. His pale hair stood every which way, drifting despite the still air. The 1990 Beatles Reunion Tour t-shirt looked like it had toured the inside of an alligator, but at least it didn't have any holes. Also, fortunately, the blanket in his lap concealed whatever ragged ruin he was passing off for pants. This is Wallace Spatchcock, I said. He went for a walk and got lost. Hello, Wallace said. Mr. Spatchcock, he said, your grief is an anchor. My hollow gut flared. Spatchcock might not have looked for us, but I was suddenly certain he needed us. Anyway, that is the opening of The Rat's Man's Lackey and the Bringer of Leaves. And it is in issue number 33 of Pulphouse magazine. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.